Good evening and welcome to Peoria City Council meeting. Hereby call the meeting of June 17th, 2025 to order. Those who are able, please stand for the invocation of Pastor Esteban Rodriguez of Nueva Vida Church, and please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Mayor. It is an immense honor for me to be here with you all and lead this prayer. I will kindly request you all to please stand. You are standing. Bow your heads and close your eye and join me in prayer. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come before you seeking your guidance and wisdom for our governors, mayor, staff, and the city council members presented tonight. We ask that you grant them with discernment in their decisions and fill them with your Holy Spirit as they work tirelessly to improve our nation, state, and community. May be united in the efforts, working together with integrity and compassion for all citizens. We pray for strength and wisdom, guiding each council member according to your will. May they lead with courage and humility, reflecting your will and bringing peace and prosperity to our city. In your name we pray. Amen. Amen. Thank you for your time. God bless America. Amen. Amen.
I want to clap for that. Thank you for being here. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Beck,
Here.
Vice Mayor Crawford,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Finn,
Here.
Councilmember Edwards.
Here.
Councilmember Stokes,
Here.
Councilmember Dunn,
Here.
Councilmember Bullock.
Here.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Awesome. Thank you very much. If anyone would like to address the council about a matter, this is your last chance to submit a speaker request form at this time. Presentations. I would like to recognize Councilmember Matt Bullock to read the proclamation for Westmark. You have to stand for this? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I stand and I walk. Do I can take the microphone for us?
Whichever one. Yep.
Red or yellow? I choose red. Good evening. Does it work? Yes, it does. Well, thank you very much. My first proclamation is very exciting, so all of you are here for the very first time I've read a proclamation. It's worth absolutely nothing, but the proclamation itself is something that's very, very important. It's to honor Westmark. I don't know if any of you have heard of Westmark before. Westmark is the Western Maricopa Coalition. It's comprised of basically 15 cities and towns in the West Valley. We work together. I was recently brought onto the board of the Westmark. The whole goal is to attract companies, businesses, education, hospitals, everything to the West Valley, and to build up economics, transportation, everything to create a great home for all of us. So we're very nice and very happy, and we'd like to welcome Cintra Hoffman, CEO of Westmark. Several cities are doing this tonight, and she came to Peoria. 4 cities, very good. So right down here, great. So I will read this proclamation, and basically it's honoring the 623 area code. June 23rd will be a day that we're going to honor and proclaim as Westmark Day, because our area code 623, June 23rd. So without further ado, there's a lot of whereases, so please bear with me. Whereas Westmark, the Western Maricopa Coalition, has been a vital regional organization for 35 years, uniting the public and private sectors to advocate for the economic vitality and quality of life in the West Valley. And whereas Westmark serves as the united voice of 15 communities, including the city of Peoria, representing municipalities, businesses, educational institutions, and nonprofit community leaders, committed to shaping a prosperous future for the West Valley of Metro Phoenix. And whereas in 2025, Westmark unveiled a refreshed brand and a strategic vision to reflect the West Valley as an elevated, thriving, united, and opportunity-rich region. And whereas The date of June 23rd, 623, symbolically reflects the 623 area code that spans much of the West Valley and serves as a proud geographic identifier for the region's residents and businesses. And whereas Westmark continues to be a catalyst for collaboration, innovation, and advocacy for key regional priorities such as economic development, education, workforce development, infrastructure, housing, and a high quality of life. So now, therefore, I, Jason Beck, with Matt Bullock reading, Jason Beck, Mayor of the City of Peoria, County of Maricopa, State of Arizona, in conformity through and by the virtue of the authority vested in me, do hereby proclaim June 23rd, 2025 as Westmark Day. In the City of Peoria, encourage all residents, businesses, and community stakeholders to recognize and celebrate Westmark, its leadership and regional impact and commitment to that prosperity of the West Valley. In witness thereof, I have affixed my seal and caused the seal of the City of Peoria, Arizona, to be affixed this 12th day of May 2023 when we originally did it. Signed, Jason Beck and Agnes Goodwine, who is our clerk. So without further ado, drum roll. There we go. Thank you very much. Thank you. Awesome. Appreciate it. Yeah. You bet.
Thank you. Thank you. Bless you. At least your microphone wasn't on. I would now recognize, while he's walking down there, I'll just talk slowly. Appreciate it. I would now like to recognize Mayor Pro Tem Mike Finn to present certificates of newly appointed boards and commissions members.
Matt, did you choose red? I chose red, so I go yellow. I'm going yellow.
Okay, so I have the pleasure of announcing and presenting certificates to some of our newest Youth Advisory Board members. And I'm going to start with Arv Jain. Is Arv here? Come on down, Arv. Come on down. Gotta do the whole thing. Shake your hand and hand you your certificate. Congratulations. Thank you. Welcome aboard. Next, I have Natik Mohanty. Okay, I either said that name completely wrong, or Natik's not here, found out the mayor wasn't doing this. Maybe they decided not to show up. Noreen Singh. Hi, Noreen. Next, we have Ved Stephen. Congratulations, young man. Welcome aboard. Where's the camera at? Got it, okay. All right. I think he got you. Next, we have Bailey Wheeler. And last we have Emma Kahe. Kahe, I'm sorry. I knew it. I almost got to the end. Congratulations. Where are we looking? Right up here, okay. Congratulations.
I would now like to recognize city staff to present certificates for this year's Peoria Leadership Institute graduates.
Mayor, we have our marketing and communications analyst, Mary Ann Loya, who's going to help facilitate the distribution of the certificates.
Hi, my name is Mary Ann Loya, and I have had the privilege of being the coordinator for the Peoria Leadership Institute this year, and it is my pleasure to present the 2025 graduates with their certificates. Tyler Maston. Thank you, Tyler. Ricky Rencher. Thank you. Thank you. Peggy Jacobs. Connie Farah. Thank you. Thank you. Jim Lumpkin. George Colebrook. Thank you. Jackie Brown. Mark Tamburino. Thank you, Mark. Take care. Jason Brannigan. Thank you. Yeah. Emily Slonina. Thank you. Take care. Lori Bango. Thanks, Lori. Wally Johns. Janet Johns. Michelle Hendershot. Thank you. Pushkar Kumar. Thank you, Pushkar. Take care. Jerry Vance. Thank you, Jerry. Take care. Greg Loper. Thank you, Jerry. Robert Jacobs. Thank you. And Stephanie Oakes. Thank you.
We will now move to the regular agenda meeting, consent agenda. All items listed on the consent agenda are routine in nature and will be enacted in one motion unless a request for removal has been received prior to approval. Staff has requested item 16C be removed tonight, so that item is removed from the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Mayor, I move we approve the consent agenda as stated with item 16C removed.
Do I have a second? It sounds like second, third. Should we say all in favor? I'm just kidding. Please vote.
Councilmember Dunn, how do you vote?
Yes.
And it passes 7-0. Thank you. We will now move on to the regular agenda and introduce new business. I now recognize City Manager Mr. Henry Darwin to introduce 22R.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor and Council, Agenda Item 22R is something that would probably typically be on a consent agenda, but we take every opportunity to discuss openly and publicly our school resource officer and school liaison officer program. So we have with us this evening Chief Tom Intrieri and Lieutenant Jason Tarrant, who's going to present an amendment to the intergovernmental agreement that we have with PUSD for continuation of this program. Chief, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Darwin. Mayor Beck, members of the council, thank you for having us tonight. I'd like to introduce to you Lieutenant Jason Tarrant, who is our lieutenant responsible for our school resource officer program, and we'd like to talk about the amended IGA that we have with them moving forward. Jason, all yours.
All right. Mayor Beck, Council, thank you for having me tonight. I appreciate it. Why are we here? And it's interesting. I've never done anything like this, but it's a one-year extension to a current IGA that we have. As I go through the presentation, I'll explain why we're looking for the one-year extension, and I will also talk about the strong partnerships that we have with the Peoria Unified School District through the City of Peoria and the Peoria Police Department. Before I start that, what I would like to do is I'd like to thank a couple of big groups of individuals that are paramount in protecting our schools and establishing this partnership. Dr. Summers, the Peoria Unified School District Superintendent, and his staff. The President of the PUSD Governing Board, Ms. Rooks, and her entire board. Mayor Beck and Council, as you're a big part of that as well, and Chief Intrieri, who has pushed these programs to continue to grow and to become a beacon for other cities to look at. Why it's very important that we have this partnership with Peoria Unified School District, I think Mayor Beck, I remember him saying this numerous times throughout being our leader for the city, is protecting our most precious assets is why we're all here. If we can't protect our most precious assets, then why are we here? They're our future, they're the future for the community. So establishing these partnerships and building up on that to ensure that we're continuously moving that forward is paramount. So thank you all for supporting that. So quick on our partnership overview. Been a long-standing collaboration between the police department and the school district, and it's led to immense things. We've got our traffic engineering involved in the partnership, and they look at ingress and egress routes, and they provide a safe environment to bring the kids to school and drop the kids off from school. We've established our school resource officer program, our school liaison officer program. We've even went as far as establishing an IGA with our newly designed real-time crime center to look at numerous ways that we can protect our school, multifaceted, whether it's through cameras, whether it's on site, but they're all very important to the safety of our schools. We have a joint commitment to the student safety, the engagement, and the wellness. One of the main focuses of our SROs and our SLOs is building those relationships with the students, to be there for them, to be a mentor, to be a leader. We focus heavily on prevention, relationship building, and preparedness. And as I stated, we have multiple formal IGAs established with our SROs, SLOs, and Real-Time Crime Center. What has this led to? Amazing things that I think we're one of the only cities that takes it to this length. We've established bicycle safety events that you as council members have been a beacon for. You provide resources for us to be able to do that. And just a couple of years ago, we took that opportunity to then build that partnership with PUSD, and now we're hosting bicycle safety events on each of our campuses, and we're getting 200, 300 kids at a time that are right there in the community that are coming out to that. our Youth Citizens Academy, which is going on right now. And I would ask any of you that have not been over to see what that entails, please reach out, come out, see an hour, come to a graduation. What that Youth Citizens Academy does for these young kids and with our school resource officers and school liaison officers is amazing. We venture down staff training. We regularly go before the school season even starts and have trainings with staff for PUSD to principals, assistant principals, all the way down to teachers. And then our school resource officers are heavily involved in law enforcement related presentations within the school. A couple of differences between our school resource officer program and our school liaison officer program, and why we kind of designated both to have a different name so that we can easily look at them, and they kind of do different things. Our school resource officer program, we have 4 officers that are dedicated to each of the 4 high schools within Peoria. They're there on site every day, immersed within that school. What this does, it allows them to be safety leaders, mentors, community liaisons with parents and students. And one of the most important things is they're liaisons between the Peoria Unified School District and the PD, so that we're continuing to grow that relationship with them. They participate in school events and emergency planning. As I stated, they instruct law enforcement related classes. One of the things that we do differently in Peoria is not only our school resource officers, but our school liaison officers, they're all National Association of School Resource Officers certified, which is a big certification to carry. And then what we're really proud of is about a year ago or so, one of our SROs became one of only 2 officers in the state of Arizona that got her NASRO certification to instruct. What does this mean? She can go anywhere in the nation and instruct for NASRO. What this did for us as a city, we were able to host our first ever internal school resource officer training that she ran, and we had everyone from the West Valley banging to get into that. So it was a big success for us. The school liaison officer program, a little bit different. Kind of a busy slide, but what I wanted to do is if you look on that, you see all around that, those are all the elementaries that we cover. So they are busy visiting each of their schools. The way we've set that up for the liaison officers is they have clusters of school. Each of them is assigned about 4 schools, and we try to do it in a general area for rapid response so they can build relationships with that community without crossing over long distances. There are regular presence on campus and in the neighborhoods. They deal with a lot of traffic stuff. They get called to the schools by principals if they're dealing with something. They'll drop everything and they'll get there, and they rotate through their schools, being a present. They serve as a trusted resource for students, staff, and families, and they assist in crisis response and safety planning for the schools. They're heavily involved with the safety planning for each of the schools. What we've been building on with PUSD is cost sharing and a strategic investment to the future of the schools and the children. Some of that cost sharing is officer placement and support for those officers. What we're currently looking at doing is actually doing a cost sharing with PUSD for training so that we can get higher level training for our SROs and our SLOs. Funding cooperative professional development initiatives. Joint commitment to sustaining safety-focused roles long-term. What does that mean? The needle keeps moving. Everything keeps changing, so we have to continually grow with the ever-changing dynamics of the school, the fencing, the security. Everything is all-encompassing. Resource-efficient approach with measurable impact. What we send out to the schools every year is a feedback on every SRO and every SLO, and we want their honest feedback. Are they on campus? Are they engaging? Are they meeting your demands? So that we are measuring if they're impacting those schools, and what do we need to change as PD and as a city to meet the demands of what the schools are asking us to do for them. And then, of course, as I mentioned, we're very proud as we implemented a camera access through our Real-Time Crime Center for efficient rapid response. One of the trainings we're doing this summer is, and we've done it before, but it's a response to a critical incident within schools, and we're actually using one of the high schools for PUSD. They graciously let us do that, so we get real-world experience going into a school dealing with that. This is the first year that we're also going to implement the Real-Time Crime Center as part of that training, so that they're on those cameras and we're prepared for those incidents when they happen in real time. and we're not waiting for that to see where our falls are. We're doing it through training progressively. As I mentioned, the joint training and capacity building. What we've done for the administration and faculty, and these are just to name a few, is trauma-informed response, de-escalation training, youth mental health, which has become a big thing. And we bring our experience and our knowledge that we get on the police side, and we foster that with the administration and the teachers within the schools. Cross-agency collaboration to align responses and expectations. This is huge because Peoria Unified School District crosses boundaries. They're not only in Peoria, but they're also in Glendale. Glendale's Real-Time Crime Center has cameras into Peoria Unified School District schools. They have SROs in their high schools. We have to have a collaborated effort and on the same page as two different agencies that were responding and handling situations the same so that the schools understand what we're doing. So we have a huge collaboration. We got a great partnership with the Glendale Police Department. What this does is it builds trust, consistency, and a shared understanding among all stakeholders of what our intents are, why we're there, and what we're trying to accomplish. The impact and the outcomes, increased visibility and positive student engagement. That's one of the things, if anyone was there or they could have been there when Officer Dave Fernandez retired this year, who's going to be a big loss, and everything he's done for Centennial, the amount of students that were out in that field for that officer was just showing what an impact one officer can have on an entire community within a school. So the student engagement that he built over those years, it was high level. Improved response times and coordinated crisis management. Because we have SROs there, our response time is they're right there on scene. Our SLOs, because they know their response, or their responsibilities, if there's a crisis at a school, they're either on there, on the campus, or they're within a distance they can get there rapidly. Strengthen school climate and student participation, or perception of safety. I always want these students to understand what law enforcement is about and that we're there to help. And we only do that for those daily interactions with those students, and it's paid dividends, that students see police officers in Peoria different. They see us as part of the community, that we're there, that we care, that we want to see them succeed. A model partnership for districts and municipalities, not just state, but nationally. One of our sergeants, Sergeant Aponte, is presenting tomorrow at the Arizona School Resource Association's, why did I lose my train of thought? Event, and they asked him to be there because they see the beacon that Peoria has provided for being heavily involved with the School Resource Officer Program and the School Liaison Officer Program. So looking ahead, a one-year extension to the current IGA is what we're here asking for. And what this is, and after discussing with POSD, they're looking at securing grant funding this year. So if they secure grant funding for our high schools, that helps us as a city, us as a department, and them as a district to help bring in additional funding. Our current IGA was up at the end of this school year. So instead of sitting down and redoing an IGA and then having to change everything if they get the grant, the request is just for a one-year extension to give them the opportunity to secure that grant funding. Enhance crime prevention through environmental design CPTED at each of our schools. Our two sergeants are getting nationally certified in CPTED, so they can go on each campus and they can help identify soft points in the school, target hardening concepts for them, everything to make them safer, and they'll be a key component as they move forward in that design. Enhancing family engagement initiatives with officer support. It's all about the family. We have to not only reach the kids, but we have to reach the families, and the families got to know why we're there and that we're there for the betterment of their children and their success overall. We're going to continue evaluating and getting feedback from the schools and communities so that we can continue to advance and stay up with current trends, and standing together to support student safety and success. Number one goal, I can't say it enough, is the student success. Creating an environment where they can be educated without fear is the overall goal. They can go there and they can thrive in the school setting. Any questions?
No?
I appreciate the time. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Oh, did you have a question? Absolutely. Go ahead.
You know, I think it's important, and maybe just to me, but I have some personal experience. I want to give a testimonial to the mayor and my fellow city council members. I served on the Peoria School Board, my first foray into politics through 2016, and those last 2 years, we finished we put the funding together for the last 2 SROs, one in Peoria and one in the city of Glendale. And to be honest, I was a little apprehensive. I've had 6 kids go through Peoria schools, 3 were still in Liberty High School at the time I was on the school board. And I thought it's kind of intimidating to have a police officer in the school. And so I went and met with the principal, I went and met with a bunch of parents, talked to my kids, of course, and several students, about 30 students, and actually went through and found out exactly what does a student resource officer do. And yes, it's an authority figure, of course, but I was completely changed my attitude and helped push for that funding to get that done for a couple of reasons. Of course, it's a presence of authorities I mentioned. The school resource officers that were already on campuses were actually teaching classes. They were doing some criminal justice classes, some law enforcement classes. They were integrating. It wasn't just standing there. The initial perception I had personally was a police officer standing there and just, kind of like this, make sure that nobody does anything bad. And come to find out, that was the very minimal of what they actually did. Teaching classes, they actually walked us, the school board, around with them to different campuses, and they were able to pinpoint areas of weakness. This is back in 2015, 2016. We always have problems. And it helped us actually reformulate our funding to do some new safety enhancements that we hadn't thought about, because of the officer saying, hey, just so you know, I'm here every day, I'm seeing what's happening, and this is where you need to direct some money over here, whether it's a hardened entrance, a fence need to be repaired, whatever it may be. It was literally eye-opening. When I got done after about a 3-month investigation, I was trumpeting from the mountaintops that this is a program that not only instills safety, of course, but all of about 30 kids I talked to, students, were like, it's great. We weren't sure at first, but now we don't want them to leave. So what a wide-ranging and effective program that, just having been there during that time and being skeptical and being converted, I can't give you a better testimonial than actually me being converted when I wasn't sure at first. So thank you for keeping this up, because it's invaluable in 10 different ways. So thank you.
Appreciate that.
Great presentation. Council, do I have a motion to approve agenda item 22R? Do I have a second?
Second.
Please vote.
Councilmember Dunn, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mayor Beck, can you vote?
It is 7-0 for protecting our kids.
No, not this time.
Awesome, thank you. I now recognize City Manager Henry Darwin to introduce 23R.
Thank you, Mayor. Agenda item 23R is a public hearing on an annexation of Arizona State Land Department Parcel C. We have with us this evening Planning Director Chris Jaquez, and he is going to discuss the proposed annexation of approximately 173 acres of state trust land as part of the larger entitlement known as the Peoria Innovation Core, or the PIC. Just as a reminder, Council, you will not be taking action at this time. Chris is going to explain further about when the action will be taken, but it's my understanding it's going to be the next meeting that we're going to have, which is going to be August 5th, as I recall. That's right. So with that, I turn it over to you, Chris.
Great. Well, thank you, Mr. Darwin. Good evening, Mayor and Council. All right, so item 23R, this is a proposed annexation of a 175-acre strip of state land. It's what we call Parcel C. I'll tell you in a minute why we call it that. It's not really that exciting, but I'll tell you about it. In this one, we are the applicant on behalf of the Arizona State Land Department. So as Mr. Darwin indicated, the purpose of tonight is to hold a public hearing. It's required under state statute. We can take testimony, we just cannot take action on this item. So the strip of land that we're talking about, just to orientate you on the screen, you've got the Loop 303 cutting through the middle of it, Lake Pleasant Parkway along the middle as well. So the orange strip, that's Parcel C. So this is a strip of land that's almost exclusively in the Agua Fria River bottom and the adjacent floodplain area. This strip is somewhat of an anomaly. So in the late 1980s, 1990s, that's when most of the annexations of North Peoria occurred. So we annexed all that state land up there, and somehow this little strip was missed, perhaps an oversight, but nonetheless it remains a portion of unincorporated Maricopa County. So the purpose of this action, or the purpose of this item rather, is to consolidate all state trust lands within the Peoria Innovation Core, or the PIC as we call it, within the city of Peoria. As you know, we've begun efforts to entitle or zone the Peoria Innovation Core. So we thought, rather than just talk about this annexation, we'll use just a few minutes to talk about where we are on the Peoria Innovation Core entitlement and what's in front of us this evening. Also, just a note too, whenever we annex lands, we also are required under state statute to provide what we call initial zoning or translational zoning. So that's a case that will parallel this item. Both cases are scheduled to go in front of the city council on August 5th, so after the summer break. This graphic on the right, it's pretty busy, but what you're looking at in blue are state lands. You're looking at parcel C with the blue outline, and then you can see some other lands in yellow that are identified as well. So the naming convention is very nondescript, but it goes back to efforts back in 2019. The city had interest to annex several state land parcels, and they were just labeled parcel A, B, C, D, and so forth. These were parcels that were identified, they were identified as strategically important to the city because they were along the Loop 303 corridor, or they were adjacent to existing development where there was infrastructure in place, or housekeeping, and parcel C really falls into that housekeeping mode there. Now, the annexation of state land, it's a little different than private land. It requires the approval of the land commissioner and also the state selection board. So that consists of the governor, the treasurer, and the attorney general. We did receive selection board approval back in 2019 for all of the parcels, parcels A through D3. However, state land does require that they be zoned or entitled along with annexation. So back then we met some challenges. That effort stalled out for a few years until recently. The city, as you may recall, we annexed and zoned parcel B, which is along Deer Valley and 109th. That occurred back in 2022. And then last year, as you know, we annexed and zoned parcel D, which was done as part of what's known as the North Peoria Gateway at Happy Valley and Loop 303. So just in thinking about parcel C, as I mentioned, we've already received authorization for state selection board. It's within our planning area. Its purpose is to consolidate state land within the city of Peoria. We have the ability to serve the area, and it does meet the city's annexation policy. So, and the strip will be incorporated into the master planning that we're going to do for the Peoria Innovation Core. So I want to pause there and just spend the next few slides talking about the Peoria Innovation Core, then we'll come back to the annexation to finish up here. Okay, so the graphic on the right, what that is, that illustrates public land within the city of Peoria. So if you look at the land in yellow, that's Bureau of Land Management, or BLM land. That's predominantly north of State Route 74. They have their own master plan for those areas. They have largely a recreational position. The lands in blue are owned by the State Land Department. So if you can see, there are quite a few areas in blue in North Peoria along the Loop 303, along Lake Pleasant Parkway, so they're strategically located. So when you back out the BLM land, when you contemplate the remaining developable land that's vacant in the city, approximately 75% of that land is within state land. So our future development, economic prosperity, that's all dependent on collaboration and joint planning with the State Land Department. So working with the state, in 2024, we designated 2 important areas with a state land special land use designation on the general plan. And so that designation was afforded to the North Peoria Gateway and also the Peoria Innovation Core. And so what that designation did is that committed us to doing a cohesive and comprehensive master planning effort for those 2 areas. So last year, we completed that entitlement for the North Peoria Gateway. That has full zoning, and we're receiving quite a bit of interest in that area. Now we are looking to move and start the Peoria Innovation Core. So what the entitlement does is it creates certainty, it removes barriers, and improves the saleability of the land. So just reflecting on the state land's mission, their mission is to maximize the value of land for the underlying beneficiaries. They've got land all across Arizona. 88% of the land, the beneficiary is K through 12 schools. That's the largest beneficiary. And so it's a very important way in which we fund schools in Arizona here. For the city, the benefit here is it not only provides for a cohesive plan, but it also opens up the land for future development. So talking more specifically about the Peoria Innovation Core, so looking at the right, it's all of the land in blue with the red background there. It is essentially all land north of Pleasant Valley and West Wing on the south, the Agua Fria River corridor on the west, our city boundary with Phoenix on the east, and going up and to the State Route 74. That's the boundary. It's about 6,700 acres, or in relative terms, it's 10.5 square miles. That's roughly the size of Estancia North and South. That's a very large master plan community. This is about that size. So the purpose of the entitlement effort is to develop that, as I said, that cohesive land use plan and an infrastructure plan for the area. So our interest is, rather than having a smaller disjointed rezones that might come up, we have a more holistic look at the whole area. So again, the entitlement establishes zoning on the property, and this tells us what classifications of land use are permitted. It also tells us what the development standards could be, and they're going to vary by geographic area, depending on the nature of that area and also the proximity of other land uses. Similar to the North Peoria Gateway, we will also be doing a zoning bank, and that's basically a zoning structure which affords some level of flexibility for the land to align with market upon auction. Land in the PIC will likely be auctioned off over many years in smaller chunks. However, so the one thing to note that's different than NPG is that the city is taking the lead on the entitlement effort in collaboration with the State Land Department. So we're leading that effort. This was a competitive process. We retained Kimley Horn to assist us in the effort. So currently, we've been in the last few months, we've been in the data collection and analysis phase. So we're trying to look at the landscape, where are the right-of-ways at, what are the constraints look like, where are there opportunities, and how do these, all of these, what we call determinants, how do they impact the land use picture and some of the land use standards? So when we look at it, I realize the graphic is very busy, but you can imagine there's a lot of things going on in the area. We have a Kinder Morgan high-pressure gas line that's going along Lake Pleasant Parkway. We have overhead power line corridors in the area, floodways, the river corridor, canals, and some significant cultural areas that will impact the land use. We also look at the existing transportation access and what will the future access look like. We also look at adjacent land uses or proximate land uses, what might be appropriate land use transitions. We look at the available infrastructure, so that's trying to understand power demands for the land uses and also how does it align with our water portfolio. And also, as we go along the process, it's very important to understand not only are we mindful of the council interest, the community interest, but also stakeholder interest. There are some private land holdings within the area. There's also some public agency ownership of some lands within the area as well. Again, all these things will inform the land use plan and development standards that we develop. I think one thing too that I do want to I guess address is that there have been some misconceptions that when we look at the PIC, it's going to be, all one big land use classification. That is not true. When you look at it, there's a lot of complexity here. It's a large area and certainly a lot of room and a lot of opportunity for a mix of different land use types. I think conceptually, when you look at the area, looking from the south going north, it's very plausible that we would look for a residential transition adjacent to Pleasant Valley and West Wing as you're heading north. And then as you would expect, as you're nearing the 303 corridor, this is a very important economic development opportunity. We're going to look at not only employment, commercial, hospitality opportunities, but mixed use. One of the things we want to do is avoid some of the mistakes of the past, and that is to allow a lot of residential to consume prime freeway frontage. So we're looking to really move away from that balance there. And then as you move north of the canal, then it gets a little more complex. It's a little more uncertain of what the land use picture looks like. Again, there's a lot of utilities in the area, but I think it also feeds into areas that are suitable for one or several land use classifications. Certainly, we're looking at residential, employment, commercial, all kind of sprinkled throughout the area. So I think there's more of a variable picture up in those areas. So where are we going in the future? Where are we at? So right now, we're in the data collection stage. We're looking to have all of the technical reports and items that are required as for a planned community district. That's a zoning application in fall. We're going to be commencing that formal review in fall of the PCD zoning case. We are continually having stakeholder engagement as this effort unfolds. We're looking at community meetings. We're looking at 2 of those, and we're looking at the 4th quarter, probably in the October timeframe. One likely remote and one in person. And then that will then move into the public hearing phase. Planning and Zoning Commission, we're looking at sometime 1st quarter of next year, and then looking to come to council with adoption early 2026. So that's what the picture going forward looks like for the PIC entitlement. All right, so now we'll bring this back to the Parcel C annexation. So, as I mentioned, state statute is really specific in how we process annexation cases. After evaluating the annexation, we are then required to file a blank petition with the county recorder. We've done that. And what that does is that sets off a 30-day holding period, and we're required to hold a public hearing within the last 10 days of that period. And that's what we're doing tonight, is just taking testimony, no action tonight. And then once the 30-day window is complete, then we are free to collect signatures. We have a year to do that, but, fortunately, we only have one landholder to collect signatures from. But our plan, again, is to then return the annexation for action to this body on August 5th, along with the translational zoning. Mayor and council, happy to take any questions, but that's all I have tonight. Again, the recommended action is to hold a public hearing and take any questions.
Councilor Bullock.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks, Chris. We had a discussion earlier this week, and I appreciate you teaching me on how all this works as far as the annexation point. Just two things to confirm, because I've received several questions about this from my constituents. This 174-acre, we'll call it strip of land that you have on there, it's in the riverbed. Is that saleable? The city can make money on that, sell it, and become a profitable piece of land?
Mayor, Councilmember Bullock, the land is saleable in that it can be packaged with any auction. It serves as open space to the extent if there's not developable land there. And every development has a requirement for an open space allocation.
Okay, and that's what I forgot to ask you, is that this piece of land, you can't sell it by itself because it's in a river bottom. You can't build anything there, but it could be, say, a developer comes along, wants to build a bunch of houses, whatever, a new shopping center, they can buy that piece as part of that land butting up against that strip right now and make that part of their open space buffer, and they can do what they want with it, of course, based on land use and laws. Is that correct?
Councilmember Bullock, yeah, the State Land Department, they're likely to package that land, which has perhaps less value, into a larger auction.
Okay. Yeah. All right, thank you.
You bet.
Any other points? I will now open the public hearing of item 23R. Do any members of the public wish to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll now close the public hearing. Council, do we have any further discussion? Seeing no current council actions necessary on 23R, I now recognize City Manager Mr. Henry Darwin to give his report.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. And just a point of clarification before we move on to my report. As you all voted earlier this evening on the consent agenda, staff did ask, and the mayor did remove item 16C from the agenda, and that was the formation of the Saddleback Community Facilities District. There was also another item on the agenda, which was item 24C, that we will not be doing tonight either, because those two are connected. So when you remove that, we did not create the facilities district, so we can't have a facility district meeting following our normal meeting. So after we adjourn, that will be it. Thank you. For my report, I just have several things to go over this evening. The first item has to do with a recent award. Neighborhoods USA is a national organization that recognizes the work being done in neighborhoods across the United States. An annual awards program recognizes the best of the best. I'm proud to announce that at this year's 50th annual NUSA conference, Peoria won second place in the Best Neighborhood Physical category for our Traditional Neighborhood Grants program. Congratulations to our team in Neighborhood and Human Services for this recognition and your ongoing efforts to improve the quality of life in Peoria's communities. The second is an update. The second item is an update. As we have discussed in previous council meetings, we have big changes coming to the city of Peoria's municipal complex. This complex in late July. Construction will begin on a complete redesign of what we're calling the front lawn of our city hall, and a full renovation of this council chamber. During this time, an additional door will be opened during business hours on the southeast side of the building for City Hall visitors. We're trying to minimize the impact our activities are going to have on our visitors. There is accessible parking in the east, short-term parking lot and parking garage, and an entry ramp on the side of those for those who need extra mobility to get into the building. We will be having council meetings in our Public Safety Administration Building. That's the building that houses our police department, our police headquarters, and our fire department headquarters, just right on the same campus. But we will be having our meetings, these meetings, in that building in the Peoria room on the second floor, starting when we get back from summer break in August. We'll make our best efforts to put signs up and around to get everyone oriented to these changes. But we will continue to have these meetings broadcast live through Cox Channel 12, Facebook, and YouTube. But please consult our website with any future updates on both of these projects. Channel 11, what did I say? 12. I said Channel 12? You were trying to plus up. I saw Channel 11, and I said Channel 12. So the last item I wanted to cover briefly, this gets into a little bit into the weeds of our efforts here in Peoria with relation to our employees. But over the past 3 years, we have conducted a Gallup Q12 engagement survey. This survey has been used by over 100,000 organizations, almost 3 million employees, 96 countries, 54 industries. This is the gold standard for how organizations measure the engagement of their employees. And as you can see from the data on the screen, each of the last 3 years, we have improved these scores. We have 87%, this last go-round, we had 87% of our employees participate in the survey. It's 12 questions, as I said. As you can see that our engagement score has increased each of the last 3 years. We are now in the 86th percentile compared to other U.S. organizations when it comes to engagement. And this is a big deal. The fact of the matter is that when speaking with Gallup about our results, they shared with the city that worldwide, for the first time in the last 20 plus years, engagement amongst employees worldwide has gone down. And we are very proud of the fact that our engagement, our employees are even more engaged this year than they were last year, and even more so than the year before. This is in large part due to the hard work of our department directors, many of whom are here today, as led by Christine Nickel, our HR director. There's a lot of time and effort that they exert in trying to create a better work environment for our employees, to make them more engaged, and to create a great place for them to work. And so I want to thank all of you for your efforts in assisting and raising these scores and getting them to take the survey in the first place, which can be a challenge. But thank you, and Mayor and Council, that's my report for the evening.
Next is Mayor's report. Do you have video? You don't have a video?
There should be slides.
There's slides? No video, just slide. I'm getting this. I don't know what that means. No? Yes? No slide?
No.
No slide either? All right. Well, happy 4th of July, everyone. So as this year we have, on 4th of July, we have the All-American Festival, celebrate Independence Day in Peoria with what we classify as the best fireworks show in Arizona. Someday we're going to have it all digital, right? We're just going to do a drone show at some point in time. To kick off the Independence Day celebration with free admission to a women's premier soccer league match. Stay for the fireworks at the annual Peoria All-American Festival. This celebration is Friday, July 4th at the Peoria Sports Complex. With that, next on the agenda is call to the public. As a reminder, the purpose of the public comment is to allow speakers to share their comments and issues and importance to them. Speakers should be polite, refrain from profanity, and respect the 3-minute time limit for their comments. Members of the audience should respect the rights of the speaker and fellow audience members and conduct themselves in a courteous manner and tone and not to disrupt the meeting. By state law, the council is not authorized to discuss among its members or take any action raised until a later date. The two speakers we have is Mr. Ian Wayne.
Okay, I'd like to talk about getting improved bus service. I don't have the name and email address of the transit director for the city of Peoria, but I would like to see bus service on Olive Avenue from 67th to 111th Avenue, and also Bell Road from Arrowhead Town Center to 91st Avenue. That's all I can think about.
Okay. Okay,
Mayor, we'll have someone get in touch with him after the meeting.
thank you. Somebody will get in touch with you after the meeting, sir. Thank you. Teresa Christensen.
I had to bring my notes, sorry. Okay, timer's on. So good evening. My name is Teresa Christensen, and I am the founder and CEO of Bright Beginnings Preschool and Childcare. I had the pleasure of meeting you recently, Mr. Beck, and I called you my hero. I also want to personally thank you, Mr. Bullock, as well, for your support. Your leadership truly makes a difference, but I'm not here to thank both of you today. I come today before you with deep gratitude for the Peoria Police Department and a request for this council. On June 10th, as most of you know, if you watch the news, the Peoria Police Department was assaulted right in front of my child care center. Due to some misinformation, because of a Homeland Security raid, a warrant was served within feet of my child care center. Chaos unfolded quickly. Protesters, news crews, people from all walks of life swirled as the issue escalated ever so fast. A Peoria police sergeant was assaulted for just doing his job. Meanwhile, just feet away, children, 0 to 12, could hear the helicopters flying, the sirens blaring, the rioters yelling, glass breaking, and they were terrified. They cried out for their parents. And all my staff could do was provide comfort. In those moments, the Peoria Police Department stood with professionalism, restraint, and heart. I ask you to extend my gratitude in the most formal way. I'm normally a strong, sassy woman, but today I ask for you to extend a formal thank you, because the day following, the police chief himself showed up the very next day to check on us. And while I only have 20 seconds left, we're not recognized as educational institutions. We're recognized as businesses. And I think that that needs to be looked at a little bit harder, because those officers had to treat me like a regular business that day. And they could have done more if they were given the tools to be able to treat us as an educational institution. That's all I have. That's all the time I have.
Okay, thank you for your comments, ma'am. So I'm gonna add something to that. I love your motion on this, ma'am, so don't even think twice about it. I know that the officers and our public safety officials appreciate that. And we very much appreciate, anybody that takes care of a child, which is
why we passed tonight 7-0, why it is important to take care of our children. Whether it's a toddler or a child in our schools. I have 6 kids myself, so when we first came in to office, I say we because it's my wife is my biggest supporter in this, so there isn't always we. All of us have our spouses involved in one shape or form or another. If not, they hear about it one shape or form or another, one way or the other. And they give us advice and lift us up as we go through kind of the trials of doing everything. And for me personally, you know, being able to take care of our kids and kind of set the tone is such a significant deal for us in the future, because they are our future. And, Lieutenant Tarrant, echoed exactly to the T what I say all the time is our most precious asset of our city and our country is our future in that generation. So I greatly appreciate your emotion about this. It's very important, and it's more important for people to show, especially after last week. We had an unfortunate incident that unfortunately happens all over the country on a daily basis now. We had a DHS raid that was and I could show you pictures now, but we had a DHS raid that was actually HSI taking care of a drug trafficker that happened to be pushing things through our city. And we had, unfortunately, politicians that tried to play politics with this game and try to show up and incite and fan the flames of the situation. We had miscommunication from people that aren't even in our city. In fact, 90% of the people plus were people that showed up from all over the county. And it was very unfortunate. And the important factor, just like we say all the time, we have lots of people that come to this council that don't agree with a vote or don't agree with a person or don't agree with a subject. And I say it all the time. It's absolutely perfectly fine. That's exactly what this country was built on. In fact, the country was built on protest, right? We wouldn't have a country if we didn't protest the British. We'd all be drinking tea on a daily basis, right? Instead, we drink 5 espressos before we come into a council meeting, right? The reality is that, we need to respect other people's communication. We need to be able to show and have respectful discourse for someone else. The problem that we have, and a lot of it starts as parents, and this is not me lecturing people, and I know people are going to say that, but that's not what I'm trying, my intention. The problem is that we as parents aren't teaching that positive behavior of being able to disagree with someone else without being disagreeable. And what ended up happening on last Tuesday was it pushed over into being able to potentially injure one of our police officers. He was not injured. In fact, I actually met with him a few hours afterwards. I was shocked how calm he was. He was like cool as a cucumber about the whole situation. But I think he was as shocked as the situation went the way that it did. People will go, well, he wasn't injured. At any point in time, and you can ask any of the officers in here, and I'm not going to put them on the spot, but you could ask any officer in here, when it comes to a situation like that and a combative person, a gun could be pulled, their gun could be taken away from them, you have multiple hands all over you. We're not going to tolerate it. We're just not. We're not going to be every other city that just allows one of our employees to be touched or their investigation be hampered. It's not going to happen. I've dedicated the last 30 years of my life trying to take care of police officers and military personnel all over the world. We're certainly not going to let it happen under our watch. If somebody impedes an investigation, if somebody impedes an arrest, if somebody puts a hand on a police officer, we will find you and we will arrest you. That's not a threat because I want somebody else to touch one of our police officers. It is a promise. We're not going to let it happen because the example that we set by letting that happen is somebody else thinks that they can touch one of our police officers or hurt one of our employees. Firefighters deal with it as well. When somebody lays a hand on one of our people, they will be arrested. So we want people to be able to come out in a safe way. Courteous is one thing, I get it, not everybody wants to be courteous, they think they have to be louder. The problem is we're not teaching our kids that as soon as somebody starts yelling at us, spitting at us, cursing at us, a lot of you have seen it happen here, even in this council chambers, as soon as that occurs, everybody's ears are turned off. And we all know it. Every single person on this dais, as soon as somebody comes up and starts bashing on a person or starts to get personal about a target or what they dislike, nobody's listening. Nobody. And it starts in our homes, it starts with our children. You know, if you want to get to somebody's heart and be able to change the topic or change the subject or actually get your point across, how about inviting somebody to coffee every once in a while? It goes a lot further than being able to do where we have to, and we haven't had that tonight, and I'm thankful for that always, right? But I would rather listen to somebody give their opinion. We have lots of people that come up and give opinions that are abrasive. Abrasive is one thing. When you start attacking another person, and we've seen it with our police officers. In fact, I've seen our police officers move people across the street into a free speech zone and had bullhorns in my face and people cussing at me and doing those types of things. Nobody listens to that. We don't listen to it. It's a proven fact. You ask any teacher, as soon as you start raising your voice to a student, we think as parents, get over here, do this type of thing. They listen to the action of moving. They don't listen to what you're actually saying. It doesn't change just because we're all in our 50s. Right? I think all of us are in our 50s, right? Yeah, we're all in our 50s, right? So if people want to get our attention, it's the same thing up here. We have to be respectful. When you want to get a police officer's attention, they're there trying to take care of our citizens. So when a federal warrant is served, and this is going to be the last minute of this, when a federal warrant is served in this city or any city in the United States, does not matter what it is, does not matter the agency, FBI, Secret Service. We've had Secret Service raids, U.S. Marshals raids, FBI raids. We've had ICE in our city. We've had DHS in our city, Department of Homeland Security. We had HSI last week. It happens all the time. The officers and firefighters that work for the city, their job is not to participate in that event. Their job is to secure the event. Meaning our job as public servants is to take care of our federal partners in that situation. Our job is to secure the area and make sure that we're doing this. That's every city in the United States. It happens 1,000 times a day in every city. That does not mean that you have to turn on our police officers. It does not mean you have to turn on our firefighters. They're there doing their job. If you want your voice heard, maybe take a different tack because the tack that they're utilizing does not work. If you touch one of our officers, you will be hooked and booked. It's going to be that simple. We're not going to put up with it. Understood? So, thank you for everybody's time. Thank you for the respect. Appreciate it.